So first let us understand what is the general rule or general way to find the locators which is applicable for all the web automation tools such as Selenium, Cypress, Playwright and etc. So this is the order which you should follow whenever you are creating any locators in general. Basically Playwright has 7 types of locator to identify your web element. So what I'm going to teach you next is what is the easy way to write the locator which Playwright accepts. One most important thing which you need to bear in mind is whenever you get the locators from the Playwright Inspector, it will follow one of the 7 methods which we have seen in the Playwright documentation. We don't need to depend on the Playwright Inspector because tomorrow the method can get deprecated or not. So we are going to write our own locator. So how to write our own locator? Hello everyone, welcome to Lambda Test. I'm your instructor 𝐕𝐢𝐠𝐬𝐴. This video is another video as part of the playlist Playwright with TypeScript. As part of this video, we are going to deep dive in and understand locator strategies. So let us see what are the topics which you're going to learn under this video. So first we'll understand what is the general automation locator strategies, and then we'll understand what are the locator strategy which Playwright supports. Then we will find an easy way to remember and write the Playwright locators. Followed by we'll see how to automatically get the locators from the Playwright Inspector. Then we will see the browser extensions available in Chrome to locate the elements and get the locators directly. And last, we will write a sample login test for our e-commerce playground website. First, let us understand what is general automation locator strategies. Now, before understanding the strategy, first we will understand what is a locator. So, for example, let's say I'm living in house number 10. So tomorrow if someone asks someone in the road that where does 𝐕𝐢𝐠𝐬𝐴 lives, so people will say 𝐕𝐢𝐠𝐬𝐴 lives in house number 10. So it is for identifying me. Similarly, in a web page, if you want to locate an element, why? Because we need to interact with the element. For example, let's say we wanted to click on a button or enter an email in the email text box. So we have to locate that element in order to do some operations. That is, locating the element is called as the locator strategies. So first let us understand what is the general rule or general way to find the locators which is applicable for all the web automation tools such as Selenium, Cypress, Playwright and etc. So these are the order which you will go by locating the elements. First, always you will try to get the elements from ID. So what it means by that? Which means you have to see in your DOM if there is any ID available. If the ID is not available, then you can go with the name attribute followed by class, tag, link text. If none of the core locators is available, then you can use either CSS or XPath to construct your own locator. So this is the order which you should follow whenever you are creating any locators in general. Now let us see next what are the locators which Playwright supports. To understand that, what we have to do is we have to go to the Playwright's documentation. So the website link is playwright.dev. So this is the documentation link where Playwright maintaining amazing documentation where you will find answers for every of your questions. So here what you can do, go and search with locators, and here click on the first link, and here it will take you to all the locators available in Playwright. So here you can see basically Playwright has 7 types of locator to identify your web element. So let us see all of them one by one. Page get by role. So this method used to locate by explicit and implicit accessibility attributes, which means for a web element, if you have any explicit attributes, you can identify it by using role. Similarly, you can identify your web element by using the text. Let's say there is a button with some text called sign in. Then you can easily identify it by using the text. Similarly, you can locate an element by using a form control associated with labels text. And the next method is get by placeholder, which means to locate an input by placeholder. So this is specific for input tag elements. And next is get by alt text, which means this is to locate an element, usually an image, by its alternative text. So whenever the developer inserts any image in the website, they will give a alt text to that image. So you can easily identify the image by using the alt text. And next is page.getByTitle, which means you can easily access a web element by using its title attribute. And the last one is get by test ID, which means to locate an element based on its data test ID. So with the recent modern engines DOM, you will be seeing this attribute called data test ID. So in case if your office project also has this data test ID, then you can easily identify the element by using page.get by test ID. Now let us see all of them one by one quickly. So first one is page.get by role. So for example, imagine this is your DOM which has a button tag followed by a text called sign in. Now let us say if you wanted to locate for this element, you can easily write as page.get by role. In this case, the role of this thing is called button, and within the button you are passing an argument or an option with name, and the name is signed in. So this will identify this particular element for you, and you can do any operation on that like click or whatever. So this is how we will be using page.get by role. Similarly, if I scroll down, the next option is here it shows different get by roles, like you can visit this website and read further. And the next one is locate by role. So what it means by locate by role? So here it's similar to get by role, but here it has multiple roles. What it means by that? There is a h3 tag, there is a label tag, there is a button tag. So for instance, if I want to click on the sign up button, let's say here we have the sign up. It's not a button, it's a text. In that case, what you have to do is page.get by role. Here the role is heading, which is h3 is a heading. So we have to say heading, and the name is sign up. Similarly, for this checkbox, here it's a checkbox which has a subscribe button. So you have to give page.get by role, and it's a checkbox with the name of subscribe. Similarly, here it has a button with the name of submit. So this is what the page.get by role is. Next is locate by label. So for locating by label, imagine this is our DOM which has a label tag with a text called password, and it also has one more tag called input with the type is password. So here I guess I clicked on something accidentally. Let me scroll to the bottom once again. So we already covered this locator everything. So let me go back to locate by label. Yeah, this is where we left it. So here how we can do it, page.get by label. In this case, the label is password. Why? This is the label, which means the text. So there is a difference between a text and the label. Text is what you see in the DOM, sorry, what you see in the website directly. Label is something which is connected to the tag. So here you can see the label here is password because it has a label tag. For the text you can have any tags, but for the label it will be always the label tag. So I'm identifying it with page.get by label with password. Similarly, the next method is locator by placeholder. So now in this case, let's say we have a placeholder attribute. So you can easily identify it by placeholder, which is get by placeholder, and you can call the placeholder here. Next is locate by text. As I mentioned earlier, previous one is label. Label is not same as text. So here in this case, welcome John is a text, but you can see it does not have the label tag. It has a span tag. Maybe it can have div tag, it can have an input tag, not input tag, div tag, or any other tag. So depends on that, it varies between label or text. So here you can easily identify it by calling page.get by text method, and you can directly pass the text here. And the last one is that locate by alt text. We have two more. Locate by alt text is, imagine this is a Playwright symbol, which is an image. So this image will be having an alternative text which is called Playwright logo. Let's say you wanted to check if this button is visible or not. So in that case, you can easily write as page get by alt text, and you can call the image here by using the alternative text, and you can click on it or get it visible. You can do any operations on that. Next is locate by title. Let's say here you have a title of 25 issues. You can think, Vignesh, it looks like a text, right? Yes, it is a text, but you can see here it has a title. So here you have two options. With the previous method which we learned, you can get it by text by calling page.get by text, and you can call it by text, or if it has a title attribute, you can get it from title attribute by using issues count. And the last one is locate by test ID. As I mentioned, with the recent modern engines, it has a data test, like the latest all website will have this data test ID. And here you can see the data test ID is directions. So you can easily write the locator to be get by test ID by using directions.click. Now, these are the 7 different locator strategies offered by Playwright. Now, By learning the 7 different strategies which offered by Playwright, we will get one simple thought. Vignesh, I can understand, but it's pretty hard to remember all of this. What it means by that? When should I go with get by label? When should I go with get by text? Or when should I use placeholder? It's pretty hard for me. I can't judge it at the initial time. Yes, it is true. It's pretty hard to remember all these 7 methods. So what I'm going to teach you next is what is the easy way to write the locator which Playwright accepts. The very simple way is you can write either a CSS or a XPath. Now, we are just going to focus on CSS or XPath. The reason is because all the different attributes which we have seen so far, title, data test ID, placeholder, text, all of this can be converted easily into a CSS. Similarly, all of them also can be easily converted into an XPath. So we no more need to think of whether should I call the method which is get by text ID or get by label. Instead of confusing with all those methods, I can directly call the get method which is parent to all this method, and within the get method I'm going to pass either a CSS or a XPath. Now you can ask me a question, Vignesh, super, but why we are taking this approach and not by going into the 7 methods? The major reason is because today they have 7 methods. Tomorrow there can be a reason when the Playwright updates their version, one of the methods can get deprecated, which means, let's say if you have your test pointing to get by label and tomorrow let's say the label method is getting deprecated from Playwright, you have to edit in your test. But there is no way they can deprecate the parent get method. So it is always better to stick with the get method. So if you're comfortable to use one of the 7 methods, you are more than welcome to use it. But I personally suggest to go with either by using CSS or XPath. Now we understood that we are going to use either CSS or XPath. Now we will see first how to record the locators using Playwright Inspector. So we have already seen what is Playwright Inspector in our previous videos where we used it for code generation, but this time we are going to use it to locate the elements. So what I'm going to do, I have already created a project here where I have installed the Playwright and I have already have it integrated with the Lambda test. So if you are seeing this video as the first video in this playlist, please go and see the first video where I have clearly explained installation and setup with Playwright and Lambda test. So here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write a simple code here. So here ultimately I have to go write a a login test for the Lambda test website. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to the website. So this is the demo website which we are using, ecommerce-playground.lambdatest.io. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this link. And here the very first statement which you need to write in your Playwright code is await page dot, and here I can call all the methods. So I'm going to call the method which is goto method will take the argument of your URL. That's it. Now the next line, because until then we have no reasons to get the locator, from now only we need to pass the locator. So instead of us getting the locator, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the help of the Playwright Inspector. So in order to call the Playwright Inspector, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say page dot pause. So pause is a method which will deliberately pause the execution and it will open the Playwright Inspector. We will use this page.pause often when we wanted to debug something. Let's say we wanted to debug to check if the locator is visible or if the element is hidden, something like that, we will use it. But in this case, I'm using page.pause because I wanted the Playwright Inspector to be open. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run the test as npx playwright test. That's it. And here we have only one test with us. So technically it will run only one test. So when I'm running npx playwright test, it will be running the test. And here we already have the await page.pause. So it will open the Playwright Inspector for us. So this is two way. Or the other easy way is, let me cancel this test. You can do it this way. Or the other way is npx playwright test --debug, which means I'm directly opening up the debug mode of the test. So when I hit it, it will open the browser and it will also open the Playwright Inspector both from the scratch itself. So you can go and add page.pause if you want, or if you don't want to add the page.pause, you can write npx playwright test --debug. Both gonna do the exact same job, no difference. So let us wait until the Playwright Inspector opens and then it shows us the Playwright Inspector. So here you can see it started opening the Playwright Inspector. and here you can see it opens the browser, which as we expected. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep this side by side for us to easily manage this. So previously in our previous video, we had this record button enabled, which is basically for the code generation. But in this case, I'm not going to do any code generation. So make sure this record button is turned off. So the test got cancelled. Okay, the reason why the test got cancelled is all the tests are pointing to the Lambda test browsers. None of them are pointing to the local Chromium or something. So the reason the test is getting failed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this test. Let me cancel the test and clear the screen. So before I'm opening the test runner or the Playwright Inspector once again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the playwright config.ts and I'm going to comment out all the browsers which are related to the Lambda test for now. So these are the browsers which are for Lambda test. So I'm just going to comment out all this, and I'm going to keep only the Chromium because Chromium points to local. So I'm going to keep only the Chromium here. Similarly, what I'm going to do in the login test, I'm going to comment out the test line from Lambda test setup, which is from the Lambda test setup file. Instead, I'm going to drive it from the Playwright. Why? Because I wanted to get the Playwright Inspector. Once I'm done with the Playwright Inspector, I will revert all these changes. So let me run the test npx playwright test -debug. This time it will open and run the test locally. So the test will not get cancelled or stopped in middle. So let us wait until it opens the Playwright Inspector. So once the Playwright Inspector is open, basically I'm going to pass this URL, and once I pass this URL, then I'm going to get the locator of the email button, and I'm going to get the locator of the password button. Now, one most important thing which you need to bear in mind is whenever you get the locators from the Playwright Inspector, it will follow one of the 7 methods which we have seen in the Playwright documentation. So if you wanted to go with the Playwright's documentation type of 7 methods, you can go with the Playwright Inspector. If not, in another 5 minutes, we will see how to write the test from our own. So make sure your record button is disabled. So here you can see it is going to try to execute this particular line. So don't click on play, click on this step over. So when I click on step over, you can see this particular line will get executed and it will wait for this pause for whatever we asked for. So now how to inspect this element. So here if I zoom on this, you can see there is a locating element symbol. So click on this locating element symbol and go near to the place which you want to locate and click on this. So here you can see the locator, it clearly says what is the locator, which is get by placeholder, and the placeholder is email address. As I told you, this will not follow the CSS or XPath shortcut which I just mentioned, because Playwright Inspector follows one among the 7 methods. So I can copy this and I can go to my test and I can easily write as await page dot, and this is the method which we just copied, which is page dot get by placeholder, and this is the placeholder. Now I want to type something inside this, so the method name is dot fill. So dot fill will basically fill within the content. So the email is test playwright, I guess test for playwright if I'm not wrong. Let me quickly check in the browser once. No, it's lambda test for playwright@gmail.com. So this is the email. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the Playwright Inspector once again, and here I'm going to inspect the password field. So let me inspect the password field. Again, here it is using get by placeholder with password. So I'm going to type this in our code. So await page dot get by placeholder with password. So again, I'm going to fill it with the password. So in this case, the password is lambda test for Playwright. That's it. And the last is, just a second, let me put the single quotes within this. I guess I didn't copy this properly. Let me copy once again and paste it over here. Perfect. And the last is await, which I need to click on the login button. So let me inspect the login button. Again, I'm clicking on this and I'm inspecting the login button. So here you can see this time it uses get by role method. So get by role, and the role is button and the name is login. So I'm copying that and I'm gonna paste it over here. So page dot get by role button with name login. That's it. So basically we have completed the login step by using the lambda test Playwright Inspector. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the execution, which means I'm going to stop the Playwright Inspector, and I'm going to rename this test to be lambda test login by using, let's say, Inspector. For example, we are using Inspector, right? So I'm saying by using Inspector. Now I'm going to copy this test. Before copying, I just noticed that we just got only the locator, but we didn't do any action. We basically need to click on this. So I'm going to call click method. So I'm going to copy this method and I'm going to put it below. And the next one, which is going to be, is lambda test login test by using own locators, which means we are going to locate it. We are not going to take any help from the Playwright Inspector. We are going to do that. Now, the first thing is, you can ask me, Vignesh, why we have to do that? The basic reason is, as I mentioned earlier, we don't need to depend on the Playwright Inspector because tomorrow the method can get deprecated or not. So we are going to write our own locator. So how to write our own locator? So first is, I'm going to go to the website here and I'm going to inspect it. How to inspect them? So click on anywhere or click on the locator which you want to inspect. So right click on it and scroll down and click on the inspect button. So this will open up the DOM for us from where we will inspect and get the locator. So this is the DOM which it's highlighting. See, if I go near to that, you can see the blue color is getting highlighted here for this locator. So now let us view into this DOM quickly and see which is the locator we have to take up. So here you can see it has a tag input. It has multiple attributes. The first attribute is type with the value text. The second attribute is name with the value email. Similarly, it has a placeholder. It has an ID. It has a class. Now, if you remember the PPTs which I mentioned a couple of slides back, the order is, first you need to check if it has ID, if not name, if not class, if not link text, partial link text. So in that order, first priority goes to ID. So here you can see it clearly has a ID. So we are going to take this ID. But I told you that there is no direct way I can use the ID, like how will I use in Selenium. Instead, I have to convert this into a CSS. So how to convert this ID into CSS? So await page dot. So above we are using different methods like get by placeholder, get by role and something. So the parent for all this method is called as page dot locator. So I'm going to directly pass the locator, and in this case the locator is ID. So I'm going to paste that value to that and I'm going to put hash. Hash in CSS means ID. If I put dot, it means class. So that's the other concept of CSS. You can go and learn it further. There are many good blogs which explains the CSS. So here what I'm going to do, basically I'm going to fill the value to be lambda test for playwright at gmail.com. So that code I'm just going to copy from above because the code is not going to change. So dot fill lambda test at gmail.com. Next, what I'm going to do, await page dot locator. And what is the next locator which you're going to write for? It's for the password field. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this inspect button and I'm going to select this password. So here you can see again it has input type, password, name, password, ID and everything. For example, again in this case it has ID, but let's say imagine that it does not have ID. So the second priority goes to name equal to password. So I'm going to demonstrate how to use the name attribute. So just copy this name attribute along with the password, and here how you should write a CSS is, you can give or you cannot give the tag name, but I personally suggest to give the tag name, which is good. So here the tag name is input. So you can write it in a format input followed by the square brackets, and within the square brackets you can feed the attribute equal to value. So this is how you will write a CSS for any attribute value combination. So the first is you have to give the tag followed by the square bracket. Within the square bracket you have to give the value, you have to give the attribute equal to the value combination. So in this case I'm gonna fill it with the password, and the password is this. That's it. Now the last thing is I have to click on login. So await page dot locator, and I have to click on the login. So let me type dot click. So now what I'm basically going to do is, let me inspect the login button. So now if I inspect the login button, you can see it has input type equal to submit, value equal to login, and many things. So now it does not have ID, it does not have a name and something. Class is not a very preferred one, so we can go either with value or type submit. Now I have already taught you how to write a CSS. Let me teach you how to write a XPath. You can go with any of them, but again I personally suggest CSS. CSS is much more faster compared to XPath. But for some reason, if you want to go with XPath, let me teach how to write this type submit with XPath. So copy this type submit and go over here. The difference between a CSS and XPath is it's exactly the same. There are only two differences. So first you have to start your XPath with double slash followed by the tag name. In this case, the tag name is input. So I'm going to put the tag name followed by the square bracket and paste the attribute value same as what we did for CSS, but put @. So the difference between CSS and XPath is in CSS, you have to just put the tag name, square brackets, attribute equal to value. Versus in XPath, you have to put the double slash navigating or saying it is an XPath followed by the tag name within the square brackets @attribute equal to submit password. That's it. This is how you will write our own locators. And if you notice here, for all of them, I'm using the one common method which is called locator. 100% Playwright will never deprecate this because they can't deprecate a locator which is the heart of the locator strategy. So this will never get deprecated, so you can easily use it, and also you can construct your own locators. Now the last topic is I'm going to teach how to easily grab the locators from your website. Now if I go here, I'm searching all this manually and I have to think whether to go for value or go for type or something like that. But there are two amazing plugins available in Chrome. I'm not sure if it's available in other browsers, but 100% it's available in Chrome. You can use one among these two plugins to easily grab the locators. Those two plugins are, plugin one is SelectorsHub. So you can easily download it by searching as SelectorsHub. Let me search it again. SelectorsHub, and you can type Chrome extension. So this is plugin number one. So go to the official website, which is from the Chrome Web Store, and you can install this. This is plugin number one. And the plugin number two is Let XPath. So this is the plugin number two. So this also you can download from official website. Both of these plugins are created by my good friends. One is Sanjay, who is the developer of SelectorsHub, and the developer of the Let XPath is 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐧, again one of my good friend. So you can use any of these two tools to use the locator identification. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back to this website. Once you have the plugins installed and you restarted your Chrome, when you open the DOM, here you will be seeing multiple options. If you click on this three like the arrow mark, you would be seeing the option for SelectorsHub and XPath. In my case, I have drag and dropped it over here for my easy identification. So here you can see it has a SelectorsHub. So what is the usage of the SelectorsHub is, let me inspect back the email address. You can see it automatically gives me all the possible options. So here you can see I don't need to sit and write my locators. It automatically gives me the combination of locator, which is it's giving me a CSS selector with hash input email. Similarly, it's also giving me a selector for XPath, which is the slash input @ID equal to input email. So by using this, you can easily write the locators in seconds. Similarly, if I go for Let XPath, this will also show me the locators. So let me inspect maybe this time the password field, for example, or let's say login button. So here you can see, here it has multiple tabs for XPath and CSS. If I go for CSS, you can see it generates a CSS by using type attribute, by value attribute, by class. Similarly, it has multiple options for XPath too. You can play around with this plugins. Both the plugins are amazing. You can use both of them to get the locators. So far we have learned what is locator strategies, what are the different locator strategies available in Playwright. Similarly, we also have seen how to write a sample login test by using the Lambda Test Playground website, and also we have seen two browser extensions to locate the element. So I hope this video would be much insightful for you, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for watching the next video in this playlist. Thank you.